Okay, let's have a look. Okay, right, we now should be on record. So everybody, welcome. This is, I'm going to get rid of the transcript because that's really distracting. There we go. Right, so welcome everybody. This is our STM mentoring program training webinar. Not that many of you need training, but this is more just a session where we hope to give you a little bit of advice, some guidance, some kind of support, and also we want to have a Q&A at the end for any questions you might have already. These will replace the slides and webinar that's on the website, which we know is quite old. So just some housekeeping things, like could we ask you to mute yourself? And if you have any questions, put them in the chat. And what Sam will do is he'll monitor the chat throughout in case people have questions. And then I'm more than happy to stop as we go through for questions, or equally can leave some till the end. This is a combined mentor and mentee webinar. We had them separately previously, but we feel a lot of the content is the same and is benefit to you both. So we are aware that there might be mentors and mentees who are already paired together in this webinar. So if you don't feel comfortable asking any questions because of that, that's absolutely fine. The committee is here to help you with anything. So you can either email me the question and I will read it out anonymously at the end, or you can reach out to us afterwards and we can follow up with you if you're needing anything. So any questions before I start? Are we happy for me just to go straight in?
Go for it, Rach.
All right, then, here we go. This is where I really hope the slides work. Hurrah! Okay, so I'm Rachel Moriarty. A lot of you know me already because I've been bothering you with emails, but I'm a publisher at Oxford University Press. I'm also the co-chair of the STM Mentoring Programmes Subcommittee. So myself and the other 3 members of my committee, we run the STM Mentoring Programme. On the webinar with me today is Sam Goodchild, who is a publisher at Springer Nature, and he is my co-chair. So you've got the 2 of us today. You're very lucky. But we also do have 2 others on the committee who couldn't make it today. You've got Chris McKenty, who's at CUP, and you've got Mikiko Sendo, who's at Wiley. So there's 4 of us that are there to support you with whatever you might need. It looks like a full agenda. It's okay. We promise that we will leave lots of times for questions at the end, but we really just want to give you a little bit of an overview. What is mentoring? What are the qualities of kind of good mentors and mentees? How to build strong relationships, some common pitfalls, things that previous participants have experienced that we can kind of pass on as their advice. And then we'll tell you kind of what happens next and then open up for the Q&A at the end. Many of you are seasoned mentors and some of you are mentees doing this more than once, but for those who are brand new to mentoring, this is essentially what it is. It's facilitating the learning and the sharing of knowledge and skills and insights between a more experienced colleague and, say, a less experienced colleague. With our particular program, we purposely do not match people from the same organization. We purposely try and make sure that we have one from one organization and one from the other. There's plenty of internal mentoring schemes. We're aware of these within organizations, but we feel the most effective way to mentor is to not have the kind of siloed effect of being within your own organization. So that's why, if you're wondering why you're not being paired with someone within your company. And what we essentially hope to achieve is the professional development of both our mentees, but also our mentors. This isn't just a one-way learning street. We hope that there will be some sort of vice versa. So what does our programming to do? Essentially facilitate kind of effectual relationships between mentors and mentees, providing you with the guidance you need. Although we're not experts, we are doing this voluntarily. So a lot of the time we're just giving you based on our experience and many years of doing this. Also taking your feedback. We will do a survey at the end of this program, as we do every year, asking for your feedback, an anonymous one, which every year helps us refine the program for the following kind of set of participants. But also we want to advocate for the importance of mentoring within the industry. So we do a little bit, rather than just doing our program, we also do a little bit more in terms of promoting mentoring within the kind of publishing industry. Okay, how does it work? So you're already in your first kind of part of it where you sent your application in last year. We went through the applications and it was a bumper year. So a huge thank you to everyone for signing up. It's been our best year yet, which is brilliant, because sometimes we've had years where we don't have enough mentors for mentees. That was the case this year, but a lot of our mentors are wonderful people and are more than happy to do more than one, kind of have more than one pairing. So we've had your applications. We have matched you based on the availability and based on what you were looking for in your mentoring partnership. We have introduced you, and hopefully by now you have all establish contact with each other. It is mentee led, so it was on the mentees to reach out. If you're having any problems with that, please let me know. I'm here to help. And I've had a couple of cases where things have gone into spam, etc. So I've been able to facilitate that contact. You have your meetings. We've got some recommendations later on in the presentation about perhaps how you structure these, how often you have them, how you have them. And then essentially throughout you have your period, which is usually the rest of the year. And then we ask you for your evaluation of how the program's been. We will be doing a couple of other things for you during the year. We hope to maybe have a kind of networking session, separate ones for mentees and separate for mentors, hopefully in the next month or so. We'll have a summer check-in with you, and we'll probably do another mentoring kind of, another networking session kind of towards the end of the summer, and then we'll do the survey. So that is the kind of format for your year. We've had this question a few times of how is mentoring different to coaching. I think this is quite important. So we wanted to kind of lay this kind of ground rules for you is that mentoring is very much there. A mentor is there to listen to you, to guide you, but to help you find your own solutions. They're not going to give you the answers. They're going to guide you based on their experience, but to help you find your own answer to the goals, questions, outcomes that you're looking for. So how do they do this? Big advice, usually because they know the industry and your role from their own experience, or through kind of experience of people they've trained or worked with before. It's more informal. Doesn't necessarily need to be a structure to your meetings or your year of working together. It can help, but it should be, your outcomes are desirable, but they're not essential. Coaching, on the other hand, is basically only coaching someone to find the answers they already have. So just providing that kind of light touch, usually far more formal, and there are defined outcomes that need to be achieved. Okay, what are the qualities of good mentees and mentors? So honesty and self-awareness. And I think that's really important for a mentee. Is you need to know what it is that you want to ideally achieve and what you're looking for, and articulate these to the mentor in order for them to best kind of support you, and be open to their feedback and open to their experiences. Set realistic but ambitious targets for yourself, and especially when it comes to the objectives, and be aware of your optimal learning style. Now, there are many, many different kind of learning style questionnaires on the internet, and we're not going to advocate one over the other, but there's lots of information online if you don't know how you learn. So they can be very beneficial. So have a look. Then the mentors, they need to be approachable and non-judgmental. That is essential for a trusting partnership. Supportive, so offering to review work, offering to work through scenarios. Maybe if someone's wanting to interview, kind of working through a role play. Be adaptable as a mentor. And I'm talking about learning styles. Everybody has a way that they like to teach or to be a mentor. Sometimes that might not work with the mentee that you have, and you need to have the ability to flex into a different leadership style. And again, there's lots of kind of quizzes you can do on the internet to tell you what your leadership style is, but sometimes that might not work with the mentee in question. So you need to be willing to adapt and flex. Inspire trust by listening and kind of asking, kind of insightful questions. Also be willing to share the experiences that you have had, good and bad, because I think especially the bad is what I found as a mentee myself, that was the most beneficial. There are shared qualities as well, so you both need to be committed, proactive, and willing to learn both ways. Try and keep things as positive as possible. I think that's really important for kind of mentees to keep coming back, kind of each meeting and feeling motivated, and be constructive, not critical. Is my camera gone? Because my internet seems to be flickering. Can everyone still see the slides? That's the most important.
Slides are
We can
visible.
see the slides.
Yep.
Am I back?
Yes.
I've had a real nightmare with my technology the last couple of weeks. So if I go again, I'm just going to keep going unless you can't hear me. So yes, so share your own experiences and your own stories. It's really useful using yourself as a role model. How do we build a strong mentoring partnership? So set expectations. Get your first meeting organised if you haven't already. Agree the topics for discussion and the areas that you as a mentee want to develop in. You can set general objectives, and again, be adaptable. These might be very different at the beginning of the year to midway through the year, so always be willing to review. Establishing boundaries. This is really important when we work in an industry that's quite small, in that you might have a relationship the impacts of, you might have another professional or personal relationship that might impact those, you might know their line manager, for example, you might know another colleague within their team. As a mentor, try and establish whether that's a conflict of interest and flag that to your mentee, or come to us as a committee for advice. That's another thing we're here to help for. Always maintain confidentiality. We're not here to chat, going to my colleague and saying, oh, my mentee who's this person at this company said this. That's not how this works. In the mentoring kind of networking sessions, obviously we're more than happy in those kind of enclosed spaces for you to share questions, concerns about your particular partnership, but we ask that you keep identities confidential and also don't share confidential information about your business. That is very, very, very key when you're working in different companies. Be very careful about commercially and business sensitive information. And agree at the beginning any topics that you don't feel comfortable being discussed. Plan ahead. So agree a venue and schedule for your meetings. We know that with time zones, it's more likely going to be virtual for many of you, but if you have the opportunity to meet in person, that's fantastic, but that's usually not the case for most people. So make sure you've both got access to the virtual software that you want to use and you're comfortable using it. Agreeing a regular structure, and this could just be that you want to meet once a month, or it might be twice a month, or maybe once every 2 months. It might be an hour and a half an hour, whatever suits. And it can be as religious, as rigid or relaxed as you would like. Um, I've personally found in my mentoring partnerships that having regular calendar reminders is a good thing. But again, talk with your mentor and talk with your kind of relationship about what you feel kind of works for you. What are our common pitfalls? Now, there are some, and some of them is poor matching. And that would be on us as a committee, in that we are unfortunately, year after year, limited by the pool of mentors that we have. And that sometimes means that a mentee's desired mentor qualities we can't meet. And we've really made an effort this year to work on our DEIA. There's a lot of mentees would like a specific, kind of like ethnic or gender or whatever, and we've done our best to match where possible, but we are very limited based on the kind of mentors we have. But also, you might think you want someone here, but what we've actually found is a lot of times we've had feedback that says, I didn't think I had enough in common with my mentor, but actually that worked for the best. So trust us in the process, but if you really feel the match is not appropriate or is not working for you, let us know. It's better knowing as soon in the process as possible to see if we can match you with another mentor or mentee, depending. Mentees not being clear on their goals or desired outcomes. Again, these can change. But if you're not sure exactly what it is you want, maybe go back to your application, have a look at the application you gave us, and maybe share that with your mentor, because that can be really helpful. Not knowing what to talk about or talking too much, I can be bad for the latter. So just a bit of advice around, knowing when to listen and knowing when to kind of leave the space open for comments and being patient. No defined endpoint or not kind of periodically reviewing it. So we suggest the end of this year would be the completion of your pairing. Saying that, we have lots of mentoring partnerships that choose to continue outside the program. So they no longer, the mentor and mentee decide informally to continue their relationship. We have a wonderful mentor who does this year after year with our mentees. Um, that is obviously outside of what we do. But you are more than welcome to continue if you feel that you're not quite done with your partnership. We're just here to facilitate, and how you take it forward is up to you. Irregular postponed meetings. This is a voluntary thing for both the mentee and mentor. If you keep postponing your meetings or they're irregular and there's no kind of set, people knowing when their next meeting, that can be really frustrating for either party. So just keeping that your meetings and trying to reschedule as soon as possible if you do need to postpone. And the confusion of roles, and that sometimes can be the case where you have more of a peer-to-peer mentoring, not quite being sure who is in the mentoring role. So just if you ever have any problems with these, again, we are here to support you. The breach of contract, there is no contract, but ground rules essentially. And we've said, yeah, being indiscreet or not preserving confidentiality. Also not questioning whether the pairing is working. Please don't wait till the end of the year, as I've said. Let us know sooner rather than later so we can see what we can do, because we want this to be, especially for our mentees, a really rewarding experience. And please don't avoid terminating the relationship if it's unproductive or toxic, or even if you're complete. It could be that you've come to this program looking for help getting into a new role. You might get into that new role in the summer and feel you're well established by the autumn and you don't want, there's no point you kind of meeting for the rest of the year. That's okay too. So just knowing what it is that you need as and when, and doing that kind of constant review of, is it working? Have you got what you need? Cultural differences, we need to we need to recognize that in a global industry. If there's any problems with this, if anything's said or done that you are not comfortable with, come to us immediately. We are here to help. And also virtual mentoring, finding the right technology. Post-pandemic, I think we're all a lot more savvy than we were pre-pandemic. But again, any problems with that, let us know. So what are the outcomes for successful partnerships? For the mentees, it's very much about learning from their mentor and getting the skills and experience they might find they're currently lacking, or perhaps not comfortable or confident asking for within their current organization. So they're receiving the constructive feedback, and again, constructive, not critical, please. But also developing a sharper focus on what they need to do to grow professionally. They get the skills and knowledge that they're looking for. Networking, and I find that's a huge added benefit of mentoring, is the ability to be able to pass your mentee on to perhaps others in different networks, and a friendly ear with which to share frustrations and successes. This was essential during the pandemic. I found that it was lots of feedback we got from the mentees and mentors who were really struggling with that need to connect. They found their mentoring partnerships and having that kind of guaranteed once a month meeting was really essential for their well-being. For mentors, gaining insights from mentees' background, satisfaction. There's a lot in our industry about giving back, and we know that's really rewarding. It can re-energize your own career. We've had several mentors come to us and say, actually, I've realized that even though I'm in my mid-career, I need to be getting mentoring myself. And then they come back the next year as a mentee, and we match them with a more senior level, and that's been really rewarding. You learn more about other areas of the industry and some organizations. I think that's really beneficial in what can sometimes be quite siloed, even departments, let alone organizations, but also benefiting from reverse mentoring. You learning from your mentee things that you didn't know that you needed. Okay, so this is personal effectiveness through mentoring. It is fine if you come into every, a mentee coming into every meeting, having a chat, doing nothing in between, and then coming back a month later, doing nothing in between, coming back a month later, and that's it. What we're offering you is to take the learning that you have from your mentor and put it into action. So figure out what it is you need to learn and recognize and appreciate differences. Use that in your daily work then. So if you learn something in your meeting with your mentor that you think, oh yeah, I could really implement that in this situation or that situation, do it. Make a proactive step within that month between your meetings to try and give it a go in some situation, then come back and report to your mentor on how it went. It also can help you learn how to adapt and interact more effectively. Again, practice these skills that you're learning from your mentors during your daily life, whether it's professional or personal. And then once you've taken that action, review it with your mentor. How did it go? Did it work? Did it not work? Do you need to introduce something different? And that is where we're talking about action. Don't be a passive participant in your mentoring program. Be active in what you learn and how you apply it. Sam, your turn.
Yeah, so thanks, Rach. So what happens next? Hopefully you've all arranged your first meeting. If not, had contact. So that is the next step, to arrange that meeting. Schedule an hour or a couple of hours if you need to spend some time learning about each other and introducing yourselves. Also, let your teams know about what you're doing, or your line manager in particular. This is mentoring and being menteed is important for career development, and informing your teams and line manager about that is a good way to signal your willingness to learn and grow and progress. It's really also important to agree the objectives and outcomes with the mentor. As Rachel said as well, like these things can and do change over the course of 10 to 12 months. So get that provisional those provisional steps in place and timeline, and you can review as things go on with different when things change and develop. As well, look for resources online and handy hints to help you. You've got something to get you started on later, and also on the STM homepage. This will be also available to you there as well. But there's lots of resources available and lots of online. So yeah, just have a look at those. We don't recommend anything in particular, but find out what works for you. And again, learning styles are important as well for you and your mentee or mentor. Yeah, of course, you can always contact us. At the moment, Rachel is the main person to do that with her email, but any of us can be contactable if you've got any questions, and we're more than happy to help or help you get along or work through any problems you might find. So the reason why you're doing this, comments from the past participants. So preparing for meetings. So share your application with your mentor at the start, so that they have a good idea of what you want to do, and so you can actually sort of review it and make sure it's still actually current. A lot of those applications were put in late last year, and there might be some changes to your personal circumstances. And definitely have a look at sort of some of the topics you really want to extract from that. We don't actually pass on your applications; it's all anonymous. There's only a name, as you know, or the mentors will know. There's only a name and given. So the mentors are coming in blind unless you prepare that groundwork for them, or blind to you. And agree a structure. I think most people sort of are under the impression that sort of it's a regular monthly thing, but it might need to start off a bit more frequently and taper off. You're two unique individuals, and you should be able to figure out what kind of framework works for you, or time frame works for you, and cadence as well. So yeah, once a month is a good starting point. Also, we need to look at reviewing everything that's happened. So going back to the cycle from the previous slides, if there's topics that come up or need exploring, then some mentees have said they wouldn't have minded a bit of homework to encourage reflection on the objectives, and signposting and reviewing throughout that relationship. Other comments, sort of having some way of communicating with other mentors would be valuable. So this is what we're going to do in terms of setting up drop-in sessions in the coming month or so, for mentors to talk with each other and maybe work through anonymous issues that might come up, just as a way of a sanity check for everyone, that they're all doing what they hope to achieve. And of course, the main thing as well is just to enjoy the process. So another comment here is, whilst going to the scheme with key goals in mind, I've learned far more than I could have imagined as both a mentee and mentor. So yeah, this is a wonderful learning opportunity for everyone, and so just keep on enjoying it. And again, so this is sort of some links here which will be available on the webpage. So the STM mentoring program. There's the guidance document as well, which should be also in the letters sent as well, if I recall correctly. So make sure you go through that, and it's a good little bit of resource there. And of course, there's the Scholarly Kitchen article co-authored by Rachel here, which really nicely outlines what we're trying to achieve with the STM mentoring program. And of course, Rachel's the contact, Rachel there. And you can also follow us on all the socials. So do as well talk about your good experience, hopefully, in your organisation and outside of it as well. Thank you. And any questions?
So yeah, we purposely wanted to keep this session relatively short, in that we're going to be putting this, and a question came in, yes, we're going to be putting this recording and these slides on the website, and that will replace the 2017 versions that we had previously. But we've found that a lot of the feedback is, they would appreciate a training session, which this is aimed to be as much as we feel appropriate in training you in this. But the most important thing was mentors and mentees wanted a space at this early in the program to ask questions now. So we've got another half an hour or so for which we've got an open floor for your kind of any questions. But also we also do have a lot of well-established mentors here. And if they would feel comfortable sharing their experience of how they found the program, we also have established mentees as well who keep coming back. So I'd very much we welcome kind of any mentors or mentees willing to kind of share positives, negatives, advice. Like I said, we're going to have networking sessions hopefully within the next month, but this is the space that's been asked for before. So we're hoping it's our first time trying giving this kind of half an hour at the very beginning alongside a training session kind of regularly rather than just pointing to the sessions on the website. So open floor, would anyone like to start?
Does anyone have any comments, maybe?
Yeah, I have
Sam,
a
I have a
question.
comment.
Oh yeah, you go ahead.
No, that's all right.
Mine's a very quick question. In terms of like arranging the mentor sessions, is it, do you do it in work time or out work time? I'm not sure if I missed that.
So one of the reasons we recommend that mentees get permission from their line managers before they submit their application is we feel this is very much should be within your work time. Unless there are time zone problems, and we've really done our best to try and keep you within kind of working hour time zones. We would recommend this should be done in your work time because it is a benefit to your organization. STM, all the mentees are STM member organizations at the outset of their pairing. So these STM members know that the program is there and theoretically should be in support. So that's our recommendation, is that you do it within work time where possible. But again, your pairing, as Sam said, you're both unique individuals. If for family reasons or workload requirements you need to do it outside and you're both in agreement, that's okay. This is your partnership to do with how you feel.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks very much.
No worries. Efka?
Yes. Hello. I'll put myself into view. I have a question as a mentor. It's my first year in this program. I'm already enjoying it a lot because you paired me to two very interesting people. But I won't go into personal details. I had a very general comment. On the outside, my approach has always been, also in mentoring in the past, that it's really up to the mentee to decide what to do, where to go, what the topics would be. I see you nodding. And I've noticed, and I find that very interesting and even inspiring, that in that sense, the two mentees that I have now choose completely different takes. One wants to talk more about personal effectiveness and things like that. The other one more about substance knowledge of STM publishing. And I've been assuming that all of that goes, right? I mean, whatever I can offer.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think it can be a big ask of mentees, especially if they're very early career, to come into a relationship with someone far more senior and to kind of already come prepared with their goals, etc. It is a big ask, but we need that investment from the mentees at the very beginning. And I think we also know through our mentors that apply that they are so adaptable. We've never had any concern. Efka, you're the perfect example where your mentees have come to you with two completely different kind of outcomes that they're looking for, and then you are able to adapt and flex based on what they need. And it's why we feel it should always be mentee led. And we know it's a bit scary at the beginning, going into your first meeting, but I think we feel it's probably the best way to do it. But again, we love feedback. So it's one of those things that if mentees feel this is a little bit too much of an ask, then that is something that we can look into reviewing for next year's program. But really glad you're happy, Efka.
Yeah, well, actually, I quite like all these differences and variations. So, yeah, but I just wanted to know whether that's, yeah. So you're more or less confirming my general assumption. Thank you.
Absolutely. Sorry, Sam, go on.
Sorry, I thought we would. I'd just like to add as well, so when looking at the applications, very often the mentees have lots of things that they would like, or lots of ideas that they would like to pursue. And it's sort of, and it would be an incredibly wonderful relationship if all of those things could be met, but it's the filtering of what is most important and what those priorities are. And so it's probably why they go in slightly different directions, as everyone's got slightly different priorities.
Okay,
Agreed.
good.
Yep. Thanks for the comment, Paola. So yeah, any other of our previous mentors fancy coming in and giving a little bit of a boost to our mentors who are maybe doing this for the first time? And we got any kind of positive or negative, like I said, anyone willing to step forward? Otherwise, you're going to hear from me. Hi, Cecilia, on you go.
I haven't unmuted myself. That's a strong start. Hi, everyone. So yeah, I am happy to kind of, I guess, share my experience if it would be useful. Sorry, I joined late, I had a clashing meeting. So this is my third year with the STM program as a mentor, and to the point you were just making, so I've got 2 this year, so they're 4 and 5 in terms of mentees, and all of those experiences have been really different in kind of the terms of what they wanted to get out of it. Some have really wanted to kind of pick my brains for information about sort of like role specific things. So like, how might you grow or develop an editorial board, or how might you, chair a meeting or something. I've also had people who've wanted a lot more sort of like career based conversation. So thinking about like what their next steps might be. Obviously, I'm duty bound to say that obviously we can't like recruit out of the mentorship scheme, so it wasn't that, but people who are making their own kind of next steps in their career and supporting them with that. So yeah, it's been a really kind of varied experience, but it's been really really enriching and really rewarding. So for those of you who are doing it the first time, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. But yeah, I think the main thing is, as you said, like just let the mentee lead it, and they'll be as active as engaged as they want to be. And the more they engage, the more they'll get out of it. But that's not on you. But yeah, basically just enjoy it. It's a really great experience, and I've learned so much from the people that I've kind of worked with over this time. So yeah, there you go. My thoughts and feelings.
Amazing, Cecilia. Thank you. Go on, Ian.
Hi, thanks. I thought I'd chip in.
Yay,
I
thanks.
reflect a lot of what Cecilia just said. So I started doing mentoring, I don't know, basically when we began doing mentoring. No
Just
idea
point
what I
out,
was doing.
Ian's been very essential part of the STM mentoring program pretty much since its conception. So if anyone doesn't know Ian, we owe a lot to him in the very early days.
Thank you. But yeah, we figured out how to do it, and then I had to figure out how to do this. And it's been different every year. A lot of people have different requirements, and it is trying to get the most out of them. What do they want to do? What do they not know? What can they find out for themselves, really? A lot of it. So there's a lot you can impart in half an hour here and there. I have found actually that I think a lot of my relationships in terms of mentoring sort of go roughly just past the summer, and then it's like I think we're mostly done by then. But we kept in touch with some people we kind of do meet occasionally, particularly at STM events and other things like that, which is always useful as well. So that's a really good way of looking back at it. And I think a number of those people have also started to come into the mentoring scheme. So I think there's some positive results coming out of it as well. And I'm just going to say hi to Emma because she's on my screen, who I used to work with at IWA.
Brilliant. And I've mentored for the scheme as well. And one of my previous mentees now works at the same company as me, and she's achieved everything that she wanted to achieve. And obviously not down to me completely, but there's a little bit of pride when you see that, they've really achieved everything that they wanted to. So I think that's really beneficial. Do we have any mentees that are comfortable asking questions at the moment? Because I am aware that, obviously mentors were quite experienced, etc. But I know there's a few mentees on the call who are brand new. Do you have any questions or concerns or anything that we can support you with that you feel comfortable kind of asking either in the chat Oh, I did say I would check my emails, didn't I? So I'll just double check that there's nothing anonymously coming there. Yeah, anyone questions? Because we're here. You know, this time is very much for you to use as you will, and I'm also more than happy to let everybody go early if that's useful. But yeah, this is what was asked for previously, so it's here for you to use.
Can I add one point, Rachel?
Of course you can.
If you ever get to the point where you don't feel like you know what you're doing, then ask the committee, and I think there's a bunch of people who've done mentoring before who could probably help give some advice, give mentoring on mentoring. Who knows? We can keep on doing that recursively as well if we really want to, but I've got to go because I'm in a public place. So.
Brilliant, thanks, Ian. I actually do want to touch on something Cecilia said, and that's again around conflicts of interest, etc. Please do not poach your mentee for your business. That is not what this scheme is about. Just want to make that really clear. That's one of the ways we protect this scheme being cross-company. Yeah, please don't steal your mentee for your business. Obviously, when your partnership's over, that's very different, but we very much need to protect the space that kind of we don't do that. So please don't. But yeah, like I said, this is very much your space. If we're complete, I'm more than happy. Like I said, we'll send the slides round. We're going to have this recording. We'll get it put on the website ASAP. I'm also aware that people might feel more comfortable being in a kind of mentor only or a mentee only space. So we will organise those networking sessions with probably sometime in April. What I will say is we do record those sessions, but we only send them to others. So say, for example, the mentee session, that will only go to the other mentees in the program as a recording. We don't put these anywhere where it can be seen kind of externally. This is just for benefit of kind of those sessions. And we're here for your feedback. We're here for support. A huge welcome to you. This has been, like I said, a bumper year for applications, and we're taking that as a really good sign. And just like I said, big welcome. I'm happy to kind of end that now if everyone's comfortable. And like I said, we're here for, and we'll hopefully see some of you, if not all, in the networking sessions we have next month. Huge thank you, everybody. Good to see you.
Thanks.